Now, this video message may be a little controversial, but, well, me being a Black lesbian woman is controversial. So, you see the title of my video, Women Dating Men Who Are Feminine is a Strong Sign of a Closeted Lesbian. I am Giselle Wallace, lesbian life coach and author. Here on my YouTube channel, I provide my lesbian perspective, and if that interests you, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you. A while ago, I did a video, and the video title was My First Time Meeting a Gay Man. And that was the video I recorded sharing my experience of meeting this man. And I won't do a spoiler alert, but basically what I'll reveal to you is that it was a time when I was not out at the university. I wasn't out at school. Now, people in my family, of course, knew I was a lesbian, but I wasn't ready to reveal that I was a lesbian at this university. And I was still trying to deal with how to be out on my own for the first time around all of these new people. And I wasn't able to date anyone because I wasn't mentally or emotionally ready. I did date women while I was in college, of course, but it was just a time where I was really just trying to still go through self-discovery. And in this process, I learned something interesting about myself. I was interested in men who were gay, like they were gay men. They were very feminine men in their mannerisms. They were very clean cut, very attractive men, and they pretty much were gay men. And I knew that they were gay, but it was kind of like a self-defense mechanism because I knew I was a lesbian, and I knew that if I was going to put on an appearance as if I was a heterosexual woman, the only way I would do that is if I dated a gay man. And so I can relate to women who are not ready to come out of the closet, or even women who maybe know that they're lesbian, but they're just not experienced yet in dating women, but they've dated men. And usually these men that they've dated were always gay. Or if they were men who really were into women, usually they were bisexual men. So generally, these women who were lesbian, and there are even bisexual women who experience this as well, where they date men who are not very masculine in their presentation. And usually these men can be very in touch with their feminine side. And these men are really good men. They're very attractive, and they are very kind men. So the qualities in these men are very appealing. They're actually very good men. But we know that these men are gay, or we know that these men, they may actually genuinely like us, but we know that we're not emotionally available for these men. And so, in a sense, it's kind of like I mentioned, it's a self-defense mechanism that you use when you are a same-sex attracted woman, and you may not be ready to let the world know that you are a lesbian or you're bisexual. So you just prepare yourself for the unknown, and you can kind of date guys who you know are not available to you, or you're not available to them. And you may wonder, well, if you are a lesbian, you should not be attracted to men at all. And here's the interesting thing about this situation. You can be attracted to a person in different ways, but it doesn't necessarily mean that your sexual orientation is heterosexual. There are different levels of attraction. And so you may be attracted to someone because they're very empathetic. They're very sensitive. They're someone who listens to you. They're very caring. They're a very giving, loving person. And you are attracted to this person because of those beautiful qualities that they possess. But you're not sexually attracted to the person. Like, they don't arouse you in a way that you are able to be aroused with someone who you are naturally attracted to. So if you're gay or lesbian, you're attracted to the same sex in every sense of the word. But if you are a same-sex attracted woman, and maybe you still have anxiety about being openly lesbian or bisexual, you either will not date anyone at all, you find yourself developing crushes, but you're not emotionally ready to be in a relationship. So you stay single. But when you deprive yourself of your natural desire to be in a companionship with another human being, some people become very lonely. They become very desperate. And sometimes they're easily manipulated into being in a relationship with someone who they don't really want to be with. So, like, there's peer pressure, there's family pressure for you to conform to being a heterosexual woman, and they want to see you date and get married to a man. So there's social pressure for you to date men. And you may go through a period where you may openly date men for public appearance, but you know that you are a lesbian, and that's not really where your heart is. And you will find yourself maybe flirting with men who you know are gay or bisexual, and you really don't get involved with heterosexual men. You stay away from that as a lesbian, because you know that can kind of lead to a place you really don't want it to go, because it's almost as if you know that this heterosexual man is really serious about you, because it's something about lesbians instinctively, even if you don't even reveal to a man that you're a lesbian, it's almost like he falls in love with you pretty seriously. And you just know that you are not going to be committed to this man. So you pretty much avoid heterosexual men. And the relationship type where they say a lesbian woman is with a gay man, eventually they probably both come out to each other. This happens. This does happen. Like, they'll be dating each other, but they're not involved in any type of sexual relationship. They probably have barely even kissed each other. And if they've kissed each other, it's probably been on the cheek, the forehead. It may have been a peck on the lips, but nothing serious. And they actually really like each other genuinely as people. They get along really well. They have a lot in common. And they pretty much become best friends. And what these relationship types are called are beard relationships, BEARD. So they eventually come out to each other and they're like, I'm lesbian. Really? Well, I'm gay or I'm bisexual. And they feel relieved and they just are able to be themselves. And they just may carry on as if they are really heterosexual and that they're in a couple relationship together for public appearance purposes. This happens quite a bit in college, and it happens in high school, but it's pretty prevalent in the college young age years. Like I say, I know what it's like when I was in college early, and I didn't date men at all. But I remember being attracted to a man who I knew I was gay, who knew. I remember being attracted to a man who I knew was gay, but I wasn't out. So he didn't know I was a lesbian. And we got along really well. But yeah, and he was a very attractive man. Like I say, they are really attractive men. And sometimes they don't know that these women that they're friends with are lesbian. Because sometimes these women don't let these men know that they're lesbian. So the guy, is talking to you and you hanging out and you're having a good time. He doesn't even know you're a lesbian. And so the lesbian, may know that this guy may like her. Or if he's gay, he just likes her because she's a woman and they have a lot in common. But people around you are thinking y'all are dating. So you let them think what you want them to think. Because sometimes you're just trying to survive. And depending on the kind of environment you're in, maybe people aren't really accepting or welcoming of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and LGBTQIA plus people. So you decide based on the atmosphere, and then you also you're learning and you're growing because you're young and you're still trying to figure yourself out. You're still trying to test the waters to decide, okay, when is a great time for me to really be my authentic self. So I don't really describe this scenario where women dating men who are feminine is a strong sign of a closeted lesbian as being a down low woman, because being on the down low is quite different. Being on the down low, usually these women are in deep denial about being lesbian or bisexual or pansexual. And they don't actually even associate with gay men or bisexual men at all. They are the ones who will be with heterosexual men. So down low women tend to be with heterosexual men only. They tend to be very judgmental about lesbians, and they are not dating bisexual or gay men. They are dating heterosexual men for public appearances. But at the same time, they secretly are sleeping with women, or they have a girlfriend, but they're just keeping it very, very secretive. So those are down low women. That's quite different from a closeted lesbian or closeted bisexual woman or same-sex attracted woman who is not quite ready to come out of the closet, or maybe her circumstance is not conducive to her being her authentic self, so she just keeps a low profile. Nobody knows that she's a lesbian. However, she knows that she's a lesbian and she acknowledges that she's a lesbian. She's just not ready to be openly lesbian or bisexual. But these type of beard relationships are very real. And I've even known of some of these beard relationships escalating from dating relationships to marriage relationships. Now, usually, like I say, both parties have already revealed that hey, the lady says I'm a lesbian, the guy says I'm gay, or he says he's bisexual, and they actually end up in these polyamorous relationships. They have their same-sex attracted partner that they're with. Maybe they all come together as a polyamorous couple. There are so many different relationship dynamics that this goes into. But I just wanted to touch on this here today because I really believe it needs to be addressed. And, this happens a lot. And unfortunately, it happens because we live in a heteronormative society, which places heterosexual couples, whether you're dating or you're married, they're placed on a pedestal. But being lesbian or being gay or bisexual or within the LGBTQIA plus acronym, however you identify, we're not celebrated or supported as much. And navigating this heteronormative society can be very challenging, especially when you don't have a supportive family. If your family is very religious, for example, or they're very homophobic, or maybe they're not too aware of other sexualities and gender identities. They're kind of I would say they're not self-aware, but they also seem to be very closed-minded people, very sheltered people. Anytime you're around people like that, it can be very difficult for them to understand you. A lot of times they're not willing to learn more about you. They are very one-track minded. They believe everything's black and white, and you are heterosexual. That's all they know. But I hope this message resonates with you. I am Giselle Wallace, lesbian life coach and author. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, and thank you for listening.